Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavid Param Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Hari Om, everyone, and everyone online. Welcome to our first class on Sadhana Panchakam. If you don't have a copy, this copy is what we'll be using for the class. It's called Sadhana Panchakam, and it is a short, wonderful text by Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. If you need a copy, you have time. This week is just an introduction. You have time to get a copy next week. We'll take a few moments now and think, what is this text all about? Who is the author? A little bit about Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. What are you supposed to learn from this text? How will you benefit? All of that. Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya is a great saint in our tradition. And I have heard him called the father of modern Hinduism. Without his role, we wouldn't have a robust knowledge base like we have today. Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya is a manifestation, avatar of incarnation, I guess you'll say, of Bhagavan Shiva. And in his short lifespan, he just lived into his 30s, he wrote so many texts, commentaries, stotrams. So two types of texts he would have written. One is called Bhashya, which is commentaries. So all the authoritative texts in our tradition, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya wrote commentaries explaining every word, explaining every theme, every concept, connecting it to the overall concept of the text, to other scriptures, and laying down that this is what this means. And he's a proponent of Advaita Vedanta, which is the central philosophy in Sanatana Dharma, which allows all the other ideas and thoughts and aspects of the religion to have a place. Because that is the aspect or the philosophy of oneness. A lot can be said about Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, and maybe one of the weeks we'll take a deep dive into his life. But for now, know that he lived around the 8th century. So like the 700s, right? Some say 10th century, some say 11th century. So there's some debate about that. But Adi Shankaracharya, during his lifespan, wrote commentaries, that is one. He wrote stotrams and stutis about the Lord. So many of the famous ones that you hear sung today are from him. He also composed many texts. And this is one of the texts that Bhagavan composed, Sadhana Panchakam. He organized so many of the ideas in our tradition and brought them out into a very structured format, curriculum. He was a curriculum builder, and he established the philosophy and the 4 mats that we have in Bharat, and his disciples all became great, great saints and contributed to the tradition. It's because of him we have this tradition. alive today. It is said the story behind this text is that Bhagavan was about to end his avatar, take samadhi, as they say. And before he left, his disciples gathered around and asked for some final advice. Advice that can be followed by anyone, by all spiritual seekers. Please give some final advice. So then Bhagavan went on to give this set of verses that make this text. What is important about this is that it covers the whole spiritual journey. So that is why it is called a roadmap. Like when we want to go somewhere in Guyana, you're new to the country, or you are going to a new place, you open a map, or wherever in the world. In the old days, I can still remember opening those folding maps. Do you remember that? They're like a rectangle and they fold out to this huge thing, and then you have to figure out your route and make a mark where you are, that kind of thing. So, roadmap. Without that, you cannot understand what needs to be done at which point in your journey. You don't know where you're going. You don't know relative to that where you are. All that is unavailable to you without a roadmap. So in the same way, this text is a roadmap for our spiritual journey. And in modern times, we don't have that anymore. We have GPS, which is nice. It will not only do the job of the folding map, but on your journey, it will tell you, okay, you have done so much. It'll give you the next step. It won't tell you the next step until you've completed this step. Isn't it? You know, when you put it in driving mode, it will tell you to only do the next step. A lot of arguments happen between the driver and the passenger who's got the map, because they don't get that part right. Either they tell the advice a little too late, or they give too much advice. You just want to know where to get off and all that type of thing. Well, this text serves just like that. The steps are sequentially laid out. Yes. Now, the issue in our spiritual journey is that we don't even know so clearly what the final goal is. The first thing you have to do in the GPS is put in your destination. It calculates where you are, and it does the work, isn't it? So what is the destination in spirituality? We're all seekers for something greater, but we really don't know what it is. So the goal is explained very well in this Sadhana Panchakam. Then also all the steps, and also about the individual who has to make the journey. All three things are explained. Now take the title, Sadhana Panchakam. Panchakam means like a group of 10, right? Like that. And we know such things. I was thinking about different kams. We have Chatushkam, group of 4. Do you know the group of 4 ways that we get distracted in our phone? A Chatushkam. Number 1, when you get a notification. Number 2, when you go on what you call the infinite scroll of just one more. Another way we get distracted, when we just try to send one message or one email. And the 4th way is when you go into accidental deep dive. That is where I get caught. You didn't actually mean to find out what is a bunker busting bomb, but now you know everything about its depth, and you just know everything about this thing because you accidentally got deep into that. So that is the 4 ways we were thinking how to label that in Sanskrit. Sparsha Darshakam, Vikshepa Chatushkam. That is the fourfold ways that we get caught by our touch screen. Yes. And then, like that, they're famous ones. There is another Chatushkam in Guyana another group of four. Four types of vegetarians are there in Guyana that that have described themselves to me. The first one is the full vegetarian. No, it's three. It's a group of three. Trikam. What is that? Obviously, the full vegetarian is there. Then there is I just eat egg vegetarian. That's another type. Then there is I just eat chicken vegetarian is there. I don't eat the other things. I heard a fourth one also. No, I just have the surah. That's another type. I don't eat the actual, I eat this sauce only. So then there's actually, it is a Panchakam because there's another one I just remembered. I only eat on certain days of the week. That's another type of vegetarian. So it's very interesting. There's many types of vegetarian I've met in Guyana. And you don't know what order to put it because does egg come before the chicken or chicken come before the egg, in the list? So anyways, all this is just fun on the idea of Panchakam. This is a group of 5 verses. The text has set of 5 verses. Panchakam, like that. And now you can use the word anywhere you like. Dashakam, Chatushkam, Trikam. Sadhana now is the other word in the title. Sadhana means spiritual practice. Sadhana means how the tools you use to go from one place, the vehicle you use to travel one place, how you get there, the means. So in our context, if there is a sadhana, a means, a practice, that means that there must be a goal that you're seeking. If you have a vehicle and you get inside and you're driving, and some of you, how to get there? Can't really make sense of our movement unless we have an intention, a goal like that. So Sanskrit is so beautiful. From one root, you can make so many nouns. So from the root sad, which means to accomplish, you can make sadhya, which is the goal. You can make sadhanam, which is the method or the means. And you can also make sadhaka, which is the person on the journey, the seeker. So right when you hear the word Sadhana Panchakam, the 5-fold verses on spiritual practice, you get an idea that, well, there must be a goal in mind, and there must be someone who's going to tell this journey. All these 3 are talked about in the text. So it tells about what should be the goal of life. And actually that I have to take that back. It's not should be. What is the goal of life? That whether you study Sadhana Panchakam or not, everybody ends up at. What are the means to that goal? And who is a fit person to make that journey? So all 3 things are addressed in this text. Sadhana Panchakam. Right. It's very interesting that you can have a destination or a place, let's say, that unless somebody wants to go, it doesn't make it a goal. Like the moon. For a long time, you look at the moon. It is a place, but we didn't really want to go. Many of you don't want to go, but there are some who want to go. Then some look at Mars. It's another place, but it's not a destination. But whether you go to Mars, you go to the moon, or come to Guyana, whatever your destination is, finally, in and through all things, what is the goal of life? So for that final goal, What it is also is explained and how to get there. That is what this text is about. It lays out the whole journey. Now, Panchakam is a bit of a misleading statement because within each verse, there are 8 sadhanas. So you do the math now. 8 by 5, 40. The text actually has 40 different sadhanas. So you could call it Sadhana Chalisa also if you want. Sadhana Chalisa, right? Because made of 40. Then somebody said, 40? This text is going to give me 40 things to practice? No. I can't do that. That is too much for me. So then, actually, all sadhana can be broken down into 2 steps. Leave the 40. It can be broken down into 2 basic steps. The whole spiritual journey. And what is that? First, making the mind fit. It's called purity of mind. And second, getting clarity, knowledge. So purity of mind and clarity of thinking are the 2 basic steps on the journey. But making my mind pure and free from agitations and wrong habits and undesirable qualities and desires that cause my personality to split. All of that's not easy. Changing habits of the mind is not even easy. Habit is a wonderful word. The word itself tells how difficult it is. If you remove the H, a bit remains. If you remove the A, bit remains. If you remove the B, it remains. If you remove the I, tea still remains. You know, chai? Chai, the habit of drinking tea still remains. So habit is not an easy thing to change. But if you want to break the whole journey of purifying the mind and making it fit to gain, that is like the step is a huge jump, each one. So see and break it into smaller pieces for me. I think, yeah, we can break it into 40 steps. How about that? Oh, yeah. 40 sounds good now, actually. I'll take it one little step at a time. This is Sadhana Panchakam, Sadhana Chalisa, like that. Anytime somebody is pursuing something greater, it is called as sadhana. If it is meant for their evolution, you might be pursuing greater knowledge, like knowledge to be a greater musician, or knowledge to be a greater academic, or knowledge to be a greater cook, or whatever. Practice of that is not called sadhana. Practice of those things is called abhyas. Abhyas. You're doing some just general practice. But as long as it leads you to your goal of life, it is called as sadhana, right? So this text is going to tell us clearly what is our goal. It is going to tell us what road to take, how to make ourselves fit on the journey. All of this will be told. And it is giving it in a bird's eye view format. All the details will be given in other texts and all that. But you get a bird's eye view of the whole journey. And if you chant it regularly and you become very familiar with it, it serves as a great reminder and inspiration also, and guide If you get deep and you go into accidental deep dive on anything in spirituality, you can always zoom out and be like, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is the step in the journey and that type of thing. Okay. Now there are thousands and thousands of goals. How to know which one is a spiritual goal? Maybe thousands is an understatement. How many things in your own life do you want? And they change as you change in your status, as you change in your age, as family members join or leave, your goals change. Well, fortunately, our tradition, the rishis are spectacular at organizing ideas. They could take all the species in the whole gamut of life and break it into 8.4 million only. They can take all the countless goals that we pursue and group it into only two types. Did you know? Two types of goals really there are. Now listen to this. This is very important to understand the spiritual pursuit. One type of goal is when you pursue something you don't have. It could be going to a place where you're not. It could be becoming something you're not. It could be getting something you're not. So when you do get in the car or get in the plane or get on the train, that is to go somewhere. When you try and when you go to the mall, when you go to the supermarket or any market, we go because we're going to get something, correct? So that's another type of goal we have. And I always think it's amazing. We live in a time where you could just go and get it. You don't have to wait and worry it may not be there. Even here in South America, you can go and get anything, anywhere, available everywhere. It's amazing, the times we live in. So people love to go shopping for that reason. Where are you going? I'm going to get something that it's just available over there. I don't have it. I want to get it, and then I'll have it. So that is another type of goal. Then becoming also. A poor man wants to become rich. An uneducated man wants to become educated, like that. Or an unfriendly person wants to become friendly. Becoming. So in all of them, you have to do something. Make a journey, purchase something, do some action so you change, your status changes. So whether it is a place or it is becoming or it is getting, all of these fall into the category of something you don't have and you have to go get it. In Sanskrit, it is called apraptasya praptihi. Praptihi, getting, acquiring. What? That which is not with me, apraptasya. The other one you think then will be what? The other category will be what? If the first one is getting what I don't have, do you know there's another category? Getting what I have. What? To gain what I already have is the second category the rishis point out. In Sanskrit, praptasya praptihi. The only way you can get something again, what you already have, is if you have it and you don't know, or you have it and you've forgotten. In those cases, like when you have your glasses on your nose and you're looking for them, or you have your keys in your hand and you're asking where are the keys, or you have in your backpack, you have your wallet, but you don't know where it is. You searched it and you missed it the first time. So in the case of the glasses, you don't know. In the case of the keys also, they are with you, but you don't know. And many of argument and many panic, much panic has happened in the home on this very same thing. And if it is the head of the household who's lost the thing, Then everybody in the house will be looking for those keys. When they find out that the keys are in their own purse or in their own pocket, it is such a funny joke, funny scene. Because suddenly the head of the household becomes very quiet, no longer bossy and shouting and giving commands. And when he's become quiet, it's been found. So then everybody will ask, where did you find it? And by the time they ask, the person is gone already because they don't want to admit that it was with me the whole time. So I don't want to admit that I was wrong and I didn't know that I had it. It is such a joy to discover something you already have, like when you find money in your pocket that you left from before. So these two types are there. Gaining what I don't have and gaining what I have. Now, the difference between the two, besides the fact that one I don't have and one I have, is that if I don't have it, I have to do something to get it. But if I already have it, I don't have to do anything. I just have to know again that I am that already, that I have that already, that I am in that place already, whatever it might be. I have to know. I have to remember if I've forgotten. So depending on the goal that we're seeking in life, the practice or the means that we take will vary. Depending on whether or not you're taking a drive into town or a drive into the bush, the road you're taking need to be different, and the vehicle has to be of a different fitness, correct? If you have to go through mud and potholes and all of that, you need a different vehicle. In the same way, if you are going to gain something you don't have, well, you're going to have to do certain things. So doing is required. But if you want to gain something you have already, knowing is required, or remembering is required. So the means is different. If you're going to do something, well, then you have to be capable to do it. If you want to fly to Banff in Canada, which is a beautiful place, well, then you have to have the funds and you have to have the passport and you have to be of a certain fitness to go. Like that. If you want to remember mind, like the person whose glasses are sitting on their nose or on their head, at some point they have to become inward looking again to remember. So some change is required. That is my point. Now, Vedanta will say that what we are all seeking and finally is already with us. Not so much with us. We are actually the very thing that we are seeking. This is what Vedanta will say, and it will prove it also. Therefore, if you ask, how am I supposed to gain the goal of life? The answer will be knowledge. Because I don't have to do anything. I already have what I'm searching for. So it falls into the prapti category. And then it is knowledge which is required. That is why I told earlier that all sadhana can be broken, all spiritual practice can be broken into two stages. The second stage is clarity of thinking or knowledge. Knowledge is required to claim back something that is mine already. That is why. But prior to that, so much preparation of mind is required. Because right now, we don't feel like we are what we want. So some changes have to happen in the mind. So this is a summary now of the ideas behind sadhana. Because the title of the text is Sadhana Panchakam. This is a text which will give the whole roadmap of spirituality. It will tell us the goal, how to get there, and what fitness we required of us. Or in Sanskrit, it tells about sadhya, sadhana, and sadhaka. Not only that, it breaks the steps down into 40. Further also, the sadhana, the spiritual practices in Vedanta have to do with claiming what I already am. And in modern psychology, this is a big, big struggle. We have a whole system, education and capitalistic system, which makes people measure their worth based on their usefulness, based on their performance. And here in Vedanta, the basic fundamental assumption is I am inherently worthy. There's nothing I could do wrong or right. There's no performance I could make. There's no mistake I could make that would make me less worthy, if you want to say. It's a wonderful tradition and a life-changing idea. The paradigm that you have to be good or perfect to be valued or valuable is turned on its head. And practice, sadhana, is all about remembering my inner greatness and removing those things which are holding me back. And through that, whatever performance is possible is possible. I'm not measured on that. I'm already that great thing. Now let's see what performance comes out like that. It's a whole different journey. It is, the very journey itself is uplifting. Yes. Okay. Now, let us learn one wonderful verse which I chanted at the beginning for Adi Shankaracharya. You can repeat after me. Shruti Smriti Purananam. I will maybe unmute somebody on Zoom. Anybody want to volunteer? Okay, thank you. Shruti Smriti Purananam.
Shruti Smriti Purananam
Alayam Karunalayam.
Alayam Karunalayam
Alayam Karunalayam.
Alayam Karunalayam
Namami Bhagavat Pada.
Namami Bhagavat Pada
Namami Bhagavat Pada.
Namami Bhagavat Pada
Shankaram Loka Shankaram.
Shankaram Loka Shankaram
Shankaram Loka Shankaram.
Shankaram Loka Shankaram.
All right, I'll chant half of the line. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam. Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Namami Bhagavat Padam Padam Shankaram Loka
Shankaram Loka
Shankaram.
Shankaram.
Good, thank you. Great job. What it means, it is a invocation prayer for Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, who is the author of this text. It says that, who is he? Well, first of all, the verb, namami. I bow down, I prostrate, I salute. Who? Bhagavat Padam Shankaram. Shankaram, Shankaracharya Bhagavan. Lotus feet. I bow down to the lotus feet of that Bhagavan. Or he who has lotus feet. Like that's correct. Who is also Shruti, means the Vedas. Smriti means all the other granthas that explain the Vedas, like Bhagavad Gita, and Purana, like all the 18 Puranas, including Bhagavatam. All of that, he is Alayam. He is the very abode, personification, master of all of these. All our whole tradition is encapsulated in his every iota, his every word, thought, deed, breath, action, decision, composition, service. Everything about him is nothing but an abode of our scriptures. He is the living scripture. Karunalayam. And many people, when they gain a little bit of knowledge, like you learn, did you know what Panchakam means? It is a Sanskrit word. It means a set of 5. And there are different Panchakams. Or Chatushkam, there are 4 food groups. See how much Sanskrit I know? Become arrogant. Like that. But though he is the very abode of the whole scriptures, Karunalayam, he is the abode of compassion also. Epitome of compassion. Compassion has its home. All of the compassion that is possible has its home in Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. Caring and concerned for the welfare of every being. That's why he's called Shankara. Shankara means, the very meaning of his name, Sham Karoti. He's going to spread auspiciousness and goodness everywhere. He brings blessings to everybody's life where he goes. That is actually spelled out in the last 2 words of the first, Shankaram, Loka Shankaram. The one who brings blessings and goodness to everybody. So this is Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, and you get an idea into his character. So if this abode of the whole scriptures and Sanatana Dharma is going to give advice as asked by his disciples before taking samadhi, it will be dripping in compassion. It will be soaked like a rasgulla or gulab jamun in love and compassion. To keep that in mind, it is nice to know what the author was like. Right. Just like our Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda. Just like our Gurudev. Okay. Now, this is not the text that we're using has a commentary by Gurudev, who is also an abode of compassion. But the commentary is more like notes on the text. That's why it's so small. See, it disappears when you turn it this way and it comes again. The pocket book, basically. Wonderful little pocket book. I encourage everyone to get it. It might also be available on the various apps, Kindle, etc. Okay. Now we have some time left. Let us begin. With the first verse. The tune is beautiful. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karma swanushtiyatam teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi amye matistyajyatam papaugah paridhuyatam bhavasuke doshonusandhiyatam Atmechhavyavasiyatam nijagrahat turnam vinirgamyatam. So in that, 8 different sadhanas will be given. The first one is given in the first three words, Vedotam. It means the Vedas should be studied every single day or continuously. Study the Vedas continuously? Oh boy. The very first instruction. I'm bold. I'm out. We'll take it one word at a time, and you'll see you're not out. You're not out. Veda means what? Well, I know Veda, Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva, Veda. There are 4 Vedas, and they're in Sanskrit. And Sanskrit is like Greek to me. Makes you wonder what Greek people say about Sanskrit. They can't say Sanskrit is Greek to them. I think Sanskrit is like Sanskrit to me. Because I don't know Sanskrit. It is a totally foreign language. How am I going to study the Vedas daily? Veda also means a treasure of knowledge or all possible knowledge. Knowledge itself, that is Veda. Now, what knowledge exactly constitutes Veda? If you already said all knowledge. Now, this is very important thing. The Vedas will take all the knowledge, and it has, you can study the various branches, the Upavedas and the Vedanga, that there are limbs of the Vedas and there are subsidiary Vedas in our tradition, including all military Shastra and what you call Jyotish Shastra. So many different limbs and angas are there of the Vedas. So it is full of secular and spiritual knowledge, the whole gamut of Veda and its limbs. But what the Veda essentially is delivering through all of that is knowledge about the same 3 topics of Sadhana Panchakam. What is the goal of life? Sadhya. What it means for any person to take that journey? Sadhana. And who has to be fit to make this journey? If you take this road, what type of vehicle you need? If you take that road, what type of vehicle you need? If you want to walk, what kind of strength you need? Like that. So the different fitness required by the sadhaka, the seeker. These 3 will be described in the Vedas. And all the different knowledge that is taught there. Even warfare, Dhanurveda is there. Even how to shoot a bow and arrow, that will be understood in light of my final goal. It is the most integrating way of learning. To study that Veda daily is the instruction. And adhiyata means study. One ought to study, one should study. It is not a commandment, like you must study. Like there are 10 commandments. This is a sign of the compassion of Adi Shankaracharya. You won't find commandments in Hinduism. One must do this, otherwise you're wrong, or you're bad, or you're a failure. There's nothing like that. It's advice, loving advice. It is called the imperative, passive imperative mood, adhiyatam, and it gives the idea that if you want to go here, you should do this. That kind of mood. If you want to accomplish that, one should do that. Now, though it is being told lovingly, we should take it like a commandment and an instruction. Sometimes when there's too much love, nobody listens. Moms know this very well. When you say beta, you should get up, you should get up. Need it, you take it that way. It means not one must study the Vedas daily. I must study the Vedas Nityam. Nityam means daily or continuously, regularly, constantly, always, like that. No, no, no. I can't because I don't know Sanskrit. Hmm. Well, did you know that the same knowledge of the Vedas, the goal of life, how to get there, and what is the fitness for the person, all that knowledge is where? In Bhagavad Gita. So you take the whole Vedas now and you bring it down just to 700 shlokas. That's easier or not? That is easier. But Bhagavad Gita is also in Sanskrit, so still hard. Okay, okay, no problem. There is something called the fifth Veda, Panchakam, the fifth Veda. What is that? Ramayana, Bhagavatam, Mahabharat, they are called the fifth Veda. So if you love the story of Ram, you just study Ramayana. You will get all the knowledge of the Vedas. Or Bhagavatam. Okay, that is nice. But those texts are so big. They're also in a different language. Okay, then you say, don't worry. Well, you just have to study Sadhana Panchakam. The whole roadmap, and with our class, the meaning is this is the Vedas. So you keep this book with you and you read it regularly every day. And you are following this first instruction of the greatest saint. Then you might ask, no, but can this knowledge be given in English? Does it have to be given in Sanskrit? Well, this class is being given in English. So that proves, yes, it can be given in English. The Vedanta course is given in English or so many different local languages in Chinmay Mission. If you want to teach scriptures, then you must know Sanskrit. You must go to the source. If you want to understand what is, you can study in your own language. So that is fine. The idea is, first off, when we hear study the Vedas daily, we get scared by the very word Veda. So you have options. Don't be frightened. The idea is we must study. That doesn't mean read, like, or chant. Every morning you get up and you chant it with beautiful tune, you make music with it and all that. That is not, study means you read it and then you reflect and think about the meaning and how it applies to my life today. That is called study. That must be done every day. So then another question comes, every day? Isn't it enough to just study the text once a week, like on Mondays? Would that not make me fit and qualified to study the rest of the text? Because this is rung of the ladder number one, right? Or I think even once a fortnight or once a month might be enough. I just looking at my goal of life. I don't need to look at my goal of life every day. I'll remember. Why do I have to study this text, study the Vedas every day? If you take nityam to mean nityam means daily. Nityam means constantly and always also. So if you take it to mean daily, which it means, and that is the instruction, then you have to answer this question, why? And the answer to that is very simple. What is that? We all have a PhD in forgetting. You know that even if it is something you've been chanting since childhood, if you don't, like Guru Stotram mentioned my mission, if you don't chant it regularly, you forget which verse comes after which verse. If you don't stay in tune with something, we forget. So for that simple reason of forgetting, right, we have to go over it again and again and again. And it takes a long time to learn and absorb something. That's the other reason. To regularly do it, because just to hear it one time is not enough. It takes a long time to absorb. And it doesn't take much time to forget. Once it has become part of you, then you move to a different stage and there's something else to learn. Like people say, have you heard the phrase, it's like riding a bike? You never forget. So you have ridden a bike enough. That's not for everybody. That's for children who've learned to ride a bike. But just because you can ride a bike doesn't mean you can do a wheelie or ride without hand. Once you've learned to ride a bike, then there's still something more to learn. On the journey of spirituality, even if you have understood and become consistent in one spiritual practice, there will be another spiritual practice, another turn to make on the journey. So like that, for that reason also, it has to be studied. You know that even if you learn a language as a child and you don't stay in touch with it, when you get older, you forget the language or not? You forget. People have forgotten. It means they grew up in India, for instance, and they knew Hindi, but they didn't speak for years and years. And now, as well, they didn't learn. Just a faint memory is there. So if that can happen for a language which we were speaking fluently, what more about our spiritual journey, which we're not so clear about? So it must be studied every day. And that applies to everybody. It applies to all of us in Chinmay Mission. Whether you're a householder, or teacher, or Swami, Brahmachari, whatever, everybody has to study daily. So before we go on to the next sadhana, we all have to take a commitment in my mind that I will reflect on the Vedas daily. Otherwise, we would have tried to take a shortcut and move to the next step, and it won't work. Like that. Now, luckily, we have this class once a week, so you just have 6 days remaining. Like that. But things have changed since the time of this text, and study has come to include a lot more than just study the Vedas and the Vedangas like that. All the various limbs of the Vedas. Now you have to go to school to study engineering and economics and accounting. You have to go to university. You have to do PD, professional development, and all that, right? So where is that will be there? And this is how now we can apply this to our life. Actually, Synth Veda means knowledge. Whenever you study any piece of knowledge, you're actually studying the Vedas. The issue is we are not very good at connecting, especially in the modern world. Everything that we learn is connected finally to some job. The main thrust of our education is so that we'll be employed. So if you're, for instance, becoming an engineer, or you are an engineer and you want to update your skills, everything you learn about the beam, suppose you're a civil engineer and you want to study what kind of weight a beam can take, what PSI, pounds per square inch, pressure per square inch maybe, that this beam can take. Finally, why are you studying that? So that you can use it in your job and take home some money. Correct or not? So the connection with our knowledge is finally our work, or a promotion, or some power or position, this type of thing. Well, the only change that has to be done is when you study whatever it is to connect that to Bhagavan. This is the telltale sign of the Vedas. It connects all the knowledge we have to our goal of life. And here I'm calling it as Bhagavan, the greatness in the universe which is sitting in my heart, which I have to come to discover, which is with me, but I don't know. So to awe in the magnificent manifestation that is this world, like for instance, that same beam, isn't it amazing how all the different laws of the universe work the way they do, such that this beam can uphold things? If you were to take up a job to build a skyscraper on the moon, well, you wouldn't need that huge metal beam, steel beam. Maybe bamboo will do because the gravity on the moon is less. And one day they want to build on Mars. So all the statistics about each element and what pressure it can hold and all that's going to be different. That's why aerospace engineering is a whole different thing. Pressure is so much, but the gravity is so less. And Who knows? Maybe on the moon, you could build a house out of straws, and that might be enough. Or twigs. I don't know where you'll find twigs on the moon, but the idea is that how amazing it is that all the laws work together so well. I recently saw that the plumbing job in our body, all the capillaries and veins and vessels and all of that, right? It amounts to, if you put it all together in like one line, one rope you make out of it, it is enough to go around the whole earth more than twice. Most amazing. The earth is about 40,000 kilometers circumference around the equator. And the amount of plumbing we have in us will make like over 90,000 kilometers. Tremendous or not? But in school, we'll study that. You will study every vessel and you will study every place and its role and what will happen when it gets blocked, but not take time to awe and connect that to the greatness in the universe. We think, no, I'm going to master this. I'm going to learn everyone. You might even learn that fact, but it doesn't cause any awe. What is there? I will learn it and I will put it on the test and then I will get the best grade, like that. So what has been lost, the only thing that has been lost in our studies is we have not stopped connecting it to the whole. It is something like you learn and memorize a whole family tree, starting back when there were kings and queens and coming down to the princes and the journey and all that. And somebody forgets to tell you it's your family tree. You missed the key connection. Or it can be taken this way. You learn how to pay with MMG and e-transfer and, Venmo, and how to use a credit card if you've not used one before and all of that. But you never learn how it relates to the overall expenses of the company. So your knowledge is not connected to the health and it's not given meaning and purpose. You just know how to spend. Or a lawyer learns how to argue in every law and every technique to be used in the courtroom, but never realizes that they're actually serving jurisprudence in society. So they have a lot of knowledge and it's not used properly and it doesn't benefit them also. So in our tradition, the study of the Vedas has always meant that the person's life was going to flourish. And Veda means knowledge. And in our tradition, all knowledge was included in the term Veda. But the essential thing is how is it connected to my goal of life? How is it going to help me on the journey? What type of fitness is needed to use this knowledge? What does this knowledge give me? The connection is the essential point, and that has been lost. So you can tell all your children also that they can study the Vedas constantly in school, as long as they're good at connecting it. And simply that means awing at the one great universe which holds everything together. That awe and magnificence should be there in the heart. Marveling should be there. We have a nice Bal Vihar story. How is it that a black cow eats green grass and gives white milk? And much of the Vedas is dedicated also to how our mind works. Goes on speaking so much about the mind. Whereas in psychology, for instance, so much is studied about the mind, but not necessarily any marveling. And especially the main question is, what is the function and role of this mind and desires and all that in my journey of life towards my basic goal? That is not studied. Gina Ji herself tells that she went back to McGill, listened to her most impressive psychology professor. She has a degree in psychology. And after studying Vedanta, she felt like, what was I impressed by? The main thrust is missing. So study Vedas every day. It's the first instruction, and it can be practiced. Read Sadhana Panchakam a little bit every day, or marvel in your own field of work at this one great intelligence behind the universe. Next week, we will see the next step that comes after that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. We'll sing a little bit before we close off. Whoever can stay back on Facebook also for 1 minute before we close off the Facebook. Ji Ji. Shri Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Jai. Hari Om, everyone.